Hey y'all, good evening, good evening. Welcome to Le Monde de Soir, where I am your host, the CEO of Kappa Learning Group. And tonight we are focusing on, again, well, all this week we've been focusing on self care and self love, y'all. So I am super excited about that. And I have a special guest with me, my friend, my sister. I've been knowing her for almost 20 some years. She is a wildcat, a Bethune Cookman wildcat. And I'm so excited to have her a part of Le Mot de Soir. And she know I love her with all of my heart. This is my sister, my prayer partner, my
Yes.
ride or die, my Allen Chapel choir.
Yes. Yes. With the
On the hall.
yes, join the hall to Curtis.
Hello, somebody. Come on, somebody. I just love her to death. I love her. I'm so happy that you wanted to come on with me and just celebrate you as an educator. And so right now, if you are watching, guys, let's take this time out to share on your social media page. Again, we want to uplift our educators during this special time. Uplift our educators and celebrate them and just show love to them. So this is the month of love. So what better way to dedicate this month to our educators and dedicate it to you, Tanya. You are a phenomenal educator.
Thank
You are a
you.
phenomenal encourager. That is definitely a gift of yours to encourage
Thank you.
people. And, she gonna put that fire underneath you, and I'm so happy that I could call her my sister and my friend, and I'm just, it's just a blessing. I'm sorry I had to put the do not disturb on, but it's just a blessing to um just have you here. So we're gonna get started, and so want you to I'm trying to change the setting so we make sure we can see everybody. Okay, that's a little better. Yeah, this is better. So I wanted to just get started and create a sharing space between you and I and the viewers. And so tonight, what are you committed to creating in this space tonight? Your mic on? Can you hear?
Oh,
Can you hear me?
that was for me or for the
Yes,
whole
ma'am. It's for
oh,
you.
in this space tonight. In this space tonight, I want to bring laughter. I want to bring joy. I wish to encourage somebody. I wish to, offer hope and faith to people and just know like it's hard out here, but I know through the joy of the Lord and the company of other people, we're going to come through on this. And I think that what we need is more strong conversations with one another on how we take care of ourselves so we can take care of each other. And, what are we doing for our children to advance them? And how do we support one another, even at times if we don't agree?
Yeah,
You know?
exactly. And that's what it's about, sticking with it through thick and thin, and being there for each other despite all. So I honor you for your commitment and what you want to create in this space. And me myself, I am committed to create a space of openness, laughter, love, um, to educate, to share, to empower, to uplift. Um, our teachers, educators, parents out there who are, needing a word at this very moment because mental health is real.
It is.
It is very real, and and it's a lot of taboo that's going on with mental health, especially in the African American community, and we want to definitely chop those barriers down and let people know that you are not the only one that's going through something. You are not alone. That there
Yes.
is support, there is help, and just going through COVID, teachers, it's really been a witch hunt
Yes.
for teachers.
Mhm.
I don't know it. Maybe it's me, but I feel like it has definitely been a witch hunt for our teachers, our educators, our cohorts, and with people's decisions on vaccinating, not being vaxxed, their opinions about wanting to do online education versus being there in the classroom or forced to be in the classroom. And there's so many lives that have been lost, during COVID and
Hmm.
whatnot. So, what is your experience in, you know, uh, right now? So, first of all, tell us about who you are, number one, before we get into it, before we get into the nitty gritty. Folks need to know who you is. I know who you are, but they need to know who you are.
I
So,
okay, well,
yes.
I'm Latanya. Um, I am an educator, as Jocelyn has told us.
Mhm.
I have been teaching at this school in Northeast Philadelphia for this is my 10th year here. I did 1 year teaching abroad in China. I loved it. And it was after me being in Camden for 4 years. So I do believe in when you are stressed and overwhelmed in mental health, as you said, it's very important. That year in China was a time to reflect on what God's vision was for me and to see something different. And so coming back, I was able to come back to say, like, yes, I'm an inner city educator. And that's my goal, to be around black, brown people and to encourage and motivate and uplift and give them hope. I agree. And when you were talking about COVID and the hecticness of teaching during this time, and the phrase that came up was disputable matters. And so I think it's
Mm,
something that's not talked about biblically a lot, where there are things that are not said specifically of to vaccinate or to not vaccinate, and it becomes a disputable matter, where it is your own choice. And because God gave us choices in the beginning, He gave everybody a choice. And so, with someone's choice, we might not agree with it. But how we go about not agreeing it, that's where it becomes a
yeah.
dispute. And that's where people break relationships, right?
Mm-hmm.
But even before COVID, it really opened up the gap for people of color on what their needs are. And so when we think about the implications of COVID, it just showed the disparity that
Mm,
there is in inner cities and for
yeah.
our people of color.
Yeah.
So one thing that it is, it's like, you know, are we taking our children for their annual checkups? When they're babies, did you take them monthly to see? And I feel like these are conversations that we are not having with young people or parents, and that there are early interventions for them that they don't know, whether
Mm,
it's speech, physical therapy, occupational therapy, that set them up for when they're in school, not just so that they get it in school,
yeah.
because school is 7.5 hours a day. So then if they're pulled for those things and we had early interventions, things that wouldn't be an issue for children at first, second, and third and on, if they had those interventions when they were younger.
Mm,
And so
wow.
the funding for preschool for children, whether you decide to be a stay-at-home mom or you're a mom that works versus daycare, there are all these programs that train people for these early interventions. And I feel like our kids get the short end of the stick because it's like, give them a cell phone, let them be glued to this.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
it's the interaction
Yeah.
that hurt us during the virtual world.
Yeah. And I have a virtual preschool,
Mhm,
and so I think the most significant part of learning through Playdate virtual program is the family interaction.
mhm.
Family engagement is crucial
Yes,
when you're online because you're not physically there.
yes.
And even if you are physically there, it is still a challenge
Mhm,
to get parents involved, especially if you're a single mom, you
mhm,
know, because everything is waiting on you. So, you know, parents definitely need that support and that intervention.
mhm,
So, as an educator, what are some ways that you practice um, family partnership and engagement within your own, confinement or constraints? Because I know that in some things you can do, some things you can't. In
right.
early childhood, you know, it's a little more lenient,
Mhm,
you know. as far as family engagement because we're not as constricted.
Mhm.
But being that you're in the public school system, there are some things that you can't do because you can't do it, ethically and so forth. So, just within your confinement or your constraint, how do you practice those family engagements and partnerships within your own learning sphere?
I think being flexible in how to meet a parent. Like you said, there are single moms out there,
Hmm.
grandparents, aunts, and uncles who've been guardians.
Hmm.
So I do not take the approach that I am on the clock from 8 to 3:45.
Hmm.
If a parent has a 12-hour shift and they can only get to me at 7 p.m., you give me the date and time, I'll meet you on Zoom. I'll be at the school because it doesn't close until 8 o'clock to give you that opportunity.
Hmm.
I feel like that's my duty because you're trusting me with your child and you wish to know where your child is at. And due to circumstances, I can't penalize you.
Hmm.
Um, I have given my parents and the students my cell phone number. I do give like quiet hours, but I make myself available to them through
Hmm.
phone, email, and other apps so that they can never say they could never get a hold of me.
Yes.
And I feel like that starts to build a connection. And so, for example, my first year at this school, there were parents pregnant, just had children, and their kids are now coming to see me in fourth grade. Whereas
Wow.
I held you during conferences, so your mom can talk to your little sister. So we go way back.
Right.
It surprises them because I've been, and I feel like that's part of the community building.
Hmm.
I feel like in the 50s, in the 60s, in the 40s, that's what it was.
Yeah.
You had your radius of your neighborhood, there was that community and
Hmm.
there was that support. And I feel like through time and evolution, it's become a battle between the parent against the teacher, with the kid against the teacher. And where it's here, we're all here to serve you.
Yeah.
We're here to uplift you because I've gone through it and I want you to go further than I did.
Mhm, mm.
And I feel like
Love that.
those are the messages that are missed. And through, I was watching this one interview and with Sister Soldier, and she was saying, you have to realize what America is built on as a business, right?
Mm,
But as an educator, we're built out of love.
mm,
And so there are two different constructs on how you go about things. And so there is a fine line because if you're all about business and what these data points are, but you didn't set up how it makes it equitable for people
mhm,
and
mhm,
approachable for people,
mhm, mhm.
and what you're saying is it's okay to leave these brown babies behind.
Yep, yep, exactly. I totally agree. I totally agree. And it's just it's important to, and I know, like I said, I know you're in the school system, so things have been predestined
Mhm,
already. Already situated, already predestined. Boundaries and whatnot. And
mhm,
so it's so hard to, I can imagine, I don't know, but I can imagine how hard it is to navigate within those constructs,
mhm,
especially if you are dealing with black and brown children and having a curriculum that's specific
mhm,
and that could be specialized to your children, and I know that is far few in between to have the ability to do that and really practice the art of teaching and in a specialized way and not in a cookie cutter way, you
mm.
know.
That was an interesting topic that you brought up. A lot of curriculum is being pushed now in
Hmm.
education to be these scripted programs
Hmm.
to make people cookie cutters, and
Hmm.
to where you have these observations of
Hmm.
I left you they just left my grade partner's room and they want me finishing the sentence that she said. But when we are born, we're born as individuals. We articulate differently. We make
Hmm.
connections to our children differently. So you want me to follow this script line for line,
Hmm.
and we can't do that, especially when these curriculums are built and we know at times our children are behind or you bring a brand new curriculum, and we're at grade 4 is what I teach. But because this vernacular and this vocabulary and how it was built, the children don't know. So we have to break some things down.
Mhm.
And time is an issue. And so when we're observed, those are all criticisms as opposed to how are we bridging those gaps. And so sometimes with these programs, they're making these gaps bigger
Mhm.
because it's like, oh, it's world renowned. It's from New York. It's from California. It's from this, and it is, and it doesn't give time to make those connections. If we go into reading curriculums, there's a lot of whitewashing. You know, it's talking now. Do we talk about critical race theory? Do
Right.
we include
Yep.
this certain information? Do
Mhm.
we have literature that
Mhm.
represents who our students are? And so, you know, Jocelyn, you know me. You
Yep.
know me. I know when it comes to me, like we gonna.
Yeah.
You said what?
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about this curriculum that you purchased.
Right.
We don't get an author that is of color until February.
Mhm. 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 Yeah. Yeah.
But you want me to read books that I was forced to read when I was a child. My brother Sam is dead. American Revolution,
Mhm. Mhm.
calling Native Americans savages and all these
Mhm.
things, not connecting to our children.
Yep.
And so what was their history at the time? And so we are and it throws them off. And so
Mhm.
before this curriculum for my school that we had, I had a freedom. I could pull these books. I would order books and like this the book we're reading right now. We're
Mhm.
analyzing it. It has some history. Let's talk about this
Mhm.
history. It's
Mhm.
realistic
Mhm.
fiction. Let me tell you the real history. Let's see how they doctored it up for fiction.
Yeah.
But now, because these are programs that people are have gaslit to be the greatest thing, the creativity of education is being lost.
Mhm.
Our children are are falling behind because they can't see themselves in character.
Mhm. Mhm.
And even though now the door is being cracked for authors of color, whether they're from India, from Puerto Rico, from Africa, from America, but you're Black or Puerto Rican or
Mhm.
Asian,
Mhm.
our children are like, just read it on your free time,
Mhm.
but not given the chance to analyze this as a group.
Right.
And so before COVID started, this was the last year where I had free will
Mhm.
with what I was teaching and what I was choosing from. And it was so interesting that year. I was like, we're going to read novels. We're going to read chapter books. It's one book after another, after another, after another. And so I gave a survey, and every kid was, they said, because when we switched to COVID, it was
Mhm.
such a quick switch. It was like, okay, I can't get these chapter books to these kids. We're just going to project it up. And the kids were like,
Yeah.
Miss Nelson, don't ever teach that way again. Put the book in our hands.
Mm.
Enjoy it. And so it's so interesting because everyone's technology is the future. But what still holds true, there's nothing like holding that book and turning each page to enjoy.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so, you know, it's just really interesting to hear from children their thoughts
Yeah.
and their ideas on it. And
Yeah.
they confirm it. But then your
Yes.
people ahead are like, no. And I'm like, how are you not listening to the people that we're serving?
Mm. Mm. Because they're not important because they look like you and me,
Mhm,
and that's the issue. That's
mhm,
just the bottom line. Um, and I know how passionate you are about teaching. I
mhm.
mean, you if you are a passionate person, you know.
Yes.
And also, it does not serve teachers either because then you cannot fully operate at your highest self, your highest, you know, uh, self as an educator. You
Mhm,
know, it washes you as well,
mhm.
and it's so unfair. I think it is so unfair that you had to go through all of these different measures, different protocols, education, testing, and you're not able to fully function in your gift.
Yes.
And I can imagine how that can feel. Like that could be very crushing, to your spirit because you know that you have so much to give and you have such a little bit of time,
Mhm.
and you're getting all that you can,
Right.
but it's not that it's more that needs to be done.
Right. And
And
this
I
is, it's a system.
Mhm.
It's a system
Mhm.
that was built. for a specific purpose, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And when that system was built, it
Mhm.
wasn't for us,
Right.
right?
Never.
We
Never.
were put into this system to operate, right? When you
Mhm.
think back to segregation and how you were given hand-me-down books and it was never built to be inclusive of us. So
Mhm.
now when you
Never.
come in and it's 2022 and we're like, we know it's a system, right? We
Mhm.
recognize the system, we recognize the faults in it. The problem is that it doesn't pay to change the system.
Mhm. Mhm.
And that's what's heart-wrenching.
Yes, yes, exactly, exactly. And then, what's the benefit of it, to do that, like, well, not what's the benefit, but a lot of teachers are scared
Mhm.
to do that, to step out and create a benefit for it. They're scared because they need their jobs. And some people don't see it like that. Some people, may see the system just as it is and they're okay with it.
But we also have to recognize in the system too,
Mhm.
the percentage of our teachers of color
Mhm.
is very minimal, who will have the heart and who will understand the culture, and
Mhm.
that also makes a bigger disparity because they're coming from their cultural mind of this is how it's supposed to be.
Right.
But it's like
Right.
you haven't lived this experience, so
Mhm.
you can't reach out to this child
Nope.
in a way that's beneficial. There's
Mhm.
gonna be looking down, which helps benefit that system.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so it's a tough world that we're
It
in.
is. It is.
And the sad thing is that, with COVID, there's a high teacher shortage,
Mhm.
as is with nursing, there's a high teacher shortage because at one point, like nursing, you're the heroes.
Mhm.
Teachers, you're the heroes. But then
Mhm.
it was like, now we need somebody to be the villain.
Mhm.
And so when people were speaking about the hardships that they were going with nursing, the hardships with teaching, like me seeing having to say to students, your camera has to be on. They didn't invite me in their home.
Mhm.
There's difference if I invite you over for dinner, I
Yeah.
invite you over for Sunday brunch.
Yeah.
They did not invite us in their homes. And
Mhm.
some homes, due to economic statuses,
Mhm.
did not look presentable
Mhm.
for them to be on camera.
Yeah.
So then it became a battle mark with it as opposed to
Mhm.
having a place of understanding.
Mm.
And so, it's a sad circle that
Mm.
we're in. And unfortunately, for I wanna say it's gonna probably be a decade of us feeling the COVID effects because if you remember the kids who were in 4th grade, they were in 2nd grade when they went out. The kids who were in 3rd grade, they were in 1st grade. The kids who were in kindergarten, like, they they didn't have this is their first gonna be full year in school, and might not be full if their classrooms had to shut down repeatedly.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
all those lasting effects really do hurt the children.
Mhm. And the teachers too,
And
and the
the
teachers
teachers,
as
yes.
well. The
Mhm,
teachers as well. They're just. I feel like they're just as affected as the children because y'all both you're interacting with each other.
mhm.
Um, and just the things that people have been through, the teachers have been through, the students have been through. Just like you said, it's going to take a village to repair
Yes.
the damage. And we know that this is a system. It was created to do this.
Mhm.
And just as you shared about some of the families who were low income and the housings were not presentable like the other peers. How did you feel when you came? Did you experience that in your own classroom?
I did have the first year we went out, I did have a student who did not like their camera on.
Mhm.
Initially, they refused to get a laptop from the school because they were nervous about getting COVID, and then
Mhm.
finally they did get it, and the child was very smart, very articulate, very kind, very compassionate. His brother was so smart that he was moved up a grade, so he was supposed to be in 3rd grade, but he was in 4th grade with him.
Wow.
And so, the burden was that they were sharing one laptop because they had
Mhm.
one laptop as a Christmas gift until, they finally was like, "Here, yes, you can leave the laptop on the stoop and we'll get it."
Mhm.
Um, and it was having one-on-one conversations. All the kids were in breakout rooms, and it was like, "Let me have this one conversation with you. Can you turn your camera on? Let's talk about it. Okay, I haven't seen you in 2 weeks. What's the issue?" And they're like, "I don't want people to see my home." And so I
Mm,
understand. Come into the lesson. I need you to use that emoji. Show me that you're raising your hand. I need you to turn the microphone on and answer questions. I need you to ask questions. Type in the chat if you have questions
mhm,
about the assignments. I need you to do that. And the child, they tried to play the game of, like, not coming on until they were like, "Wait, this is the same Miss Nelson I was in the classroom with." So then they rose to the challenge, right?
mhm,
But
mhm.
he wasn't gonna rise to the challenge if my heart wasn't in pursuit of him.
Yeah, yeah.
And so this child's parents did not speak English. So
Mm,
that was also another barrier of, like,
mhm,
me typing in Google Translate
mhm.
to translate it out for them until
Yeah.
I got into contact with another parent who could translate for me and get this whole thing together. And
Mhm,
so, there were those barriers, but through faith in God and how He tells us to be servants to one another, there are plenty of opportunities to be servants.
mhm,
And just as the flesh of sin, it also was like that mental health
mhm,
was apparent in children and parents and in myself of, like, you have to take care of yourself.
mhm,
Like, you
mhm.
have to have an outlet of release on what you're going to do
Wow.
to release this burden because you're carrying 25 students' burdens that are going into these different homes and
Yeah, yeah,
what's happening with them. And so,
yeah.
it was a lot. And like you said, mental health is real. We did not have the tools given to us. You
Mhm.
had to search it on your own. If
Yeah.
you were lucky enough to have a good
Mhm,
therapist or clinician that you could speak to, but we still need to take those steps for ourselves and for our children to say that we need to have thought provoking conversations
yeah.
on how we heal when a burden is put on to us.
Mm. I wanted to ask you what was your student population as far as demographic?
Our school demographic is, I want to say it's about 15% Asian, and they're from China, Vietnam, Cambodia, and a few from Korea.
Mhm,
Um, and that's our Asian population. Hispanic population from Honduras, Ecuador, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, Argentina, Venezuela, Mexico, and that is about, I want to say, about 60%.
wow.
And so then the other 25, about 30% is African American.
Wow. Okay. So you guys have a very diverse
School.
student population. Very
Yes.
diverse.
Mhm.
And you have dual language learners.
Mhm.
You have children who parents do not speak English at all, that they are their advocates.
Mhm.
There's a lot within that's going on within your
Yes.
school. A
Thankfully
lot.
at our school, it's a charter school.
Mhm.
And when our school accepted the charter 10 years ago and
Mhm.
they knew our school was diverse, they automatically
Mhm.
hired um, 3 liaisons.
Mhm. Mhm.
One liaison she spoke 4 Asian languages
Oh
to help
wow.
communicate. We had another liaison, she's Afro Latina, she
Mhm.
spoke Spanish, and then we had another liaison who only spoke English but was also worked as a social worker at the time. And
Okay.
then you have to remember about 7, 8 years ago, there was budget cuts in education.
Mhm.
So 3
Mhm.
liaisons, then we were down to 2.
Mhm.
And then
Wow.
just with time and their age, they retired, right?
Mm.
And so with the 2 liaisons, they had such strong relationships with families. We had a food pantry, donations for clothes, that it's not matched right now because those people had such a strong passion for what they were doing, right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so their heart really showed and poured out with the
Mhm.
connection they had with those
Mhm.
parents.
Mhm.
And so now, like, we have a new Spanish liaison. She's into connections. We
Mhm.
have an Asian liaison, but it was hard to get for them because they had such strong relationships with the former.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
so, initially, even before, it was translators coming in and out until we could find those supports, which
Mhm.
also severed connections with
Mm.
parents because
Wow.
they're unable to communicate. So then we relied on apps where you could message the parents, where we
Mhm.
translate it from their native language into English for me, and they get it in their native language for them, which
Mhm.
worked really well to communicate with parents. So, I would send like a group message with parents like, "Oh, I'm logging in. It's 8:15. Class is starting.
Mhm.
Shout outs. You can come in." And it was great for across the board, whether you spoke English or not.
Yeah.
Parents knew how to communicate,
Yeah.
way to communicate with us.
Yeah.
And so I think that's great. Also, if we go back to what the demographics are in education and how predominantly, there aren't a lot of color. And so with that, teachers of color and children of color can recognize though their biases
Mhm.
when it comes
Mhm.
to interaction, their biases of
Mhm.
how they look at inner city and how they look at these different backgrounds. And
Mhm.
so it's an interesting dynamic within the school where
Yeah.
if you were at like a predominantly black school,
Mhm.
you wouldn't see some of these things that where you're like, as children, you're like, he's Afro Latino and he's
Mhm.
Latino. And it's like you could see how that colorism was strong with colonization. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you see how that's strong.
Yeah.
And you also like you see how like with parents, how they came from another country
Mhm.
they
Mhm.
want the best for their children and how they empower them and how they encourage them and they set the goals for them. And it's interesting where it's like sometimes in America it's like pride, 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 give me.
Mhm.
But in
Mhm.
some of these other places where the parents come from, it's like, no, this is what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's really interesting to see those dynamics too
I, I
in the
bet.
school.
I bet. I think what's most important, the communication, is definitely it's you have to have it. Like
Mhm,
it's a lifeline.
mhm,
Um, but it will be. I think with the pandemic, it would have been great if um teachers were trained because you have to. It's an art
mhm,
to train online. It's an
mhm.
art
It
to
is.
train online, to teach online. It's an art. And I think if they would have just kind of scrolled back for a moment and gave at least 6 weeks, 3 weeks of training
Mhm,
online, um, and really utilize that, I think that the outcome would have been far greater, you know. Even with my online preschool,
mhm,
when I start hiring teachers on, they have to take the certification in order to teach online. You cannot be out here nilly willy.
right.
The kids gonna be jumping all over the place. They're going to be disconnected from you. The parents are going to be disconnected, unhappy. There is an art to that, and they just kind
Mhm,
of threw the teachers out there in the wool, with wolves. And I think if it was more structured and if they reached out to other educational sectors,
mhm,
for example, the homeschool. I
mhm.
teach homeschoolers. The homeschoolers have not missed a beat.
No.
They have not missed a beat. My nieces and nephews, I was homeschooling them for a while,
Mhm,
since they was in fifth grade. But I started because my business picked up, I couldn't teach like I, could. So I was already teaching on out school, and so I just enrolled them on out school, and they never missed a beat. The pandemic was going, people they friends were talking about this, that, and the third. They were going haywire, and they did not miss a beat. You have to also, we have to get out of this, and I keep preaching this. Get out of this hierarchy in education
mhm,
and reach out to other sectors and ask questions, do research. And this online learning was one of those opportunities that I think that public schools could have reached out to other sectors in education, the higher education, bring people in, and train, you know, the teachers in the public school system, bring people in early childhood
mhm,
to train, you know. teachers in the public school system reach out to people. This was an opportunity for all of us to come together and really make a difference in the lives of these children, because it was just like everybody felt it. Everybody
Scramble.
felt it
Mhm,
was just like everybody scrambling
mhm.
to get something, to try to understand something, to get something out of this chaos. And like I said, like we said, it's a system.
Right, and so just to touch on that, my 2 sisters are educators, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And so my sister who's in Maryland, she's in the suburbs of Baltimore,
Okay. Mhm.
while I'm in inner city Philadelphia. My other
Mhm.
sister, she's in Trenton,
Mhm.
New Jersey. She we went out right before spring break,
Mhm.
and we found out in 2 weeks we'll be going virtual for the remainder of the year, right?
Wow.
For that 2-week period, my
Mhm.
sister did have modules
Mhm.
to complete to prepare her to set up
Mhm.
Canvas
Mhm.
for kids in first grade,
Mhm.
to set up all these things, right?
Mhm.
But us in our inner city schools, we didn't have that training.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So that's where the equity
Mhm. Mhm.
and the breakdown
Mhm.
and of the forethought to come together in that
Mhm. Mhm.
really broke down.
Mhm.
And so our children are paying for that
Mhm.
because this system of money,
Mhm.
like going back to the pandemic, you have to remember things shut down. People weren't shopping like they used to. What
Mhm.
is a big makeup with shopping? Taxes.
Yeah.
Okay. You got major cities that got 10 and a quarter tax. You have some
Mhm.
cities that 6% tax. That
Mhm.
got shut down
Yep.
because people were home.
Mhm. Mhm.
Myself, for an example, when we were shut down, I filled my tank every 3 months with gas.
Mhm.
Now, when I was working, I'm filling my tank with gas twice a week.
Right.
So
Right.
that money became an economic thing. And even though they said we're giving these schools this money and this money
Mhm.
and this money
Mhm.
here, the economics of the money that you gave did not still fill that economic gap
Mhm.
and for what the kids needed.
Mhm. Right. Exactly.
And so we could
Wow.
go in the disparity of English language learners, the disparity there.
Mhm.
We could go into special education, the disparities that were there. We could hit all of that.
Yeah.
But that economic and that support and that planning,
Mhm.
you think back to when we were in school, there was a portion of the time every day where you devoted to handwriting.
Yeah. You're right.
Don't teach these kids how to hold a pencil.
Mhm. Mhm.
Everything's technology, but you got to know how to sign your paper if you want to buy a house.
Yep.
You got to know how to sign that.
Mhm.
You have to know not to sign it with a pencil
Mhm.
and sign it with a pen. Those
Right.
are all those lessons that that children are starting to miss out on.
Mhm. 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 And it's getting further and further. That gap is getting further and further. I don't even think they're going to be having that in the next 5 to 10 years.
No.
Just signing with a pen,
Hmm.
because the technology is evolving right now. I mean, look at Facebook.
Hmm.
They're going into a meta universe. This is a created universe to mimic what's going on here in the virtual world. People
Hmm.
who are going to be who poor right here in reality, when they get to the virtual world, they might be rich because you can buy property there. You can buy property. They selling property. They selling cars. Right now, you can buy property. Like for me, I can buy some property and get my virtual preschool built, and
Hmm.
I can sell my product in the metaverse.
Hmm.
And let's say a parent go in metaverse and want Miss Vanessa to come to their house. You can get Miss Vanessa in the virtual world, and she will come to you in reality to keep your kids. This is what's going on right now.
This is
That's and that, the crypto,
Mhm,
what NFTs, all of this stuff is going on because they're pushing us into this. So writing with a pen and a pencil in the I believe within 5 to 10 years, it's going to be obsolete.
but I also worry because
Mhm.
we understand there are certain systems that have been in place for
Yeah,
years,
yeah.
right? And these people, let's just say if we stay into this whole cryptocurrency versus
Mhm,
stock and all that,
mhm,
right?
mhm,
There are people who are saying don't trust it, right?
mhm,
But there are a
mhm.
lot of young people who are trusting it. And
They
we think
are.
back to some of these gimmicks, right? Of
Yep.
like, if this person goes onto SNL, watch this
Mhm,
one take off.
mhm,
So
mhm.
so a lot of people
Yep.
weren't well informed. They're dropping hundreds and thousands
Yep.
into it, and that thing tanked. And the
Yep.
people who had it, they took that money and ran.
Exactly.
It's like, but if we don't sit and take the time and we rush through it to say, I feel like it's a gimmick
Mhm.
where it's like, I
Mhm.
got you. Same
Mhm.
thing with 40 acres and a mule, or when
Yep.
black people owned land. We think
Yes.
of Rosewood and all that, and different communities that were
Yes.
selling, right? Where
Mhm.
black people owned stores and land
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
farmers and markets.
Mhm.
And then that was all taken away because we don't want you to be so so it's like I see this whole thing with cryptocurrency and this
Yeah.
medical thing.
Me
It's like,
too.
but proceed with caution.
Yeah, you got to. You have to. And our children are already being sucked into it. They
Mhm,
already.
mhm,
With video games, just social media, they're already equipping our children into coming into this metaverse,
right.
creating this universe. And the children are already being sucked in. And right now, what's his name? Elon
Yes.
Musk.
Mhm,
They got the bodysuits, already ready for like $200. I mean, they're making it affordable so that they can get them sucked into this thing, into this virtual world. And it is, it's already a hot mess, with social media and children not being supervised in this, when they create these virtual worlds, you know, people are going to be able to kill each other. They're going to be able to do all these different things in the virtual world. They're going to be able to be bullies. They're going to be able to, do all these different things because they're setting it up just like the real world, but it's virtual, you know.
and so but
Um,
that
it,
also makes me worried, right? Let's think about it,
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
I look at you as an expert in the area of early intervention and early education, as well as excelling into from kindergarten into college, okay, and
Mhm.
postgraduate. I see
Mhm.
you as the expert.
Mhm.
But we know in those early interventions, I mean, the early years of childhood, preschool and pre-K was built on interaction
Yeah,
and how kids
definitely.
learn to interact with one another.
Mhm.
We're trusting that we are pushing these young people to interact virtually, and that you're learning that you can kill someone and
Mhm.
take a life and it's not valuable, right?
Yep.
And then you're in the real world,
Mhm.
then that further takes away the value of those things. So
Exactly.
I'm saying, like, we have to be careful on what
We
we're gonna
do.
jump into. These fake facades of too of like I could be a millionaire in the metaverse.
Mhm. Mhm.
But in my
Mhm.
real life, my house is in foreclosure,
Right.
being evicted from my apartment
Mhm. Mhm.
because I'm so into this metaverse. We have to be
Yes,
careful with those
you
things.
do.
God told us
You do.
this here on earth,
Yeah, you do.
this is not our everlasting. This is
Right.
not. So these
Exactly.
metaverses and all that, this is what you have to be careful of.
Yeah, you do. And that is, that goes back to what I believe with, virtual learning. It's good and bad in everything, but
Mhm,
you have to have those interactions with your families and your
mhm,
children
mhm.
and have them to understand, the realness and then what's virtual. They have to have that difference. And again, it goes back to those engagements,
Right.
you know, really having that engagement,
Now
and
I can give you an example where I felt like one student really excelled virtually.
mhm, mhm,
He had a lot of anxiety.
mhm,
His
yeah,
family was from India.
mhm,
We don't have a lot of children from India in our school.
mhm,
I taught his sister when she was in 4th grade, so I knew the mom, I knew the dad,
mhm,
so I
mhm.
was happy to have him. And so, in school, he was like a C student. I'm like, "You're smart, like, what is it?" But he stuttered and stammered when it was time to talk in class. Virtually, a straight A student was
Yeah,
so
yeah,
getting
yeah,
everything done, the comfort of his home,
mhm, mhm,
and it was just something so different. And so at the end of the year, I said to him, "Name, I'm so proud of how you participate. This is how I needed you to be all year long.
mhm, mhm,
And so when you go into 5th grade, I need you to be just like this, if not
mhm,
more." And
mhm.
so his 5th grade teacher was like, "I can't get this kid to put his hand down. I can't get this kid to stop, turn on his mic to answer questions." I said, "Please don't do it," because I told him he better do that.
Yeah, yeah,
You know what
yeah.
also helped him? Before we went out virtually, we were reading this book called Save Me a Seat,
Mhm,
where the lead character's family was just migrated to America from
mhm,
India.
Mhm.
So it was seeing in print
Mm.
the
Yeah.
stereotypes that Indian people go
Mhm.
through and how they're treated versus
Mhm.
being from Indian descent and then being born here
Mhm.
and all the interworkings of an American school. And I just felt like that also helped to open him up, which goes
Yeah.
back to what we were talking about curriculum.
Yeah.
I feel like, all those things going virtual can work in some sense, like you said, homeschooling and all that
Mhm.
comes to that economic status and what parents and teachers are
Mhm.
prepared to do and how they're trained to do it. And so I do believe virtual can work, but some people need to be right there in front with the teacher where they can touch and engage
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
see where you have if you need to have counters, the teacher has counters there for you.
Yeah.
We need counters. Go ask your mom for 50 pennies or whatever. And then she's
Mhm.
stressing like, you didn't tell me we're gonna need this.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, I just
That's the part that with learning through play date, I just have to keep going back into that. That's why the engagement is so critical. Here at Learning Through Play Dates, we have what we call parent hubs.
okay.
And what we do is we uh, coach and mentor the parents on what they need for the week so
Mm-hmm.
they can prepare.
Mm-hmm.
It's really about preparation and getting the children and the parents involved in education.
Mm-hmm.
You have to train the parents just like you train the teachers.
Mm-hmm.
They have to because they are the first parents.
You're right. If they're the first teacher.
They're the first. I mean, yeah, the first teachers.
Yes.
So
And
you
mhm.
have to offer professional development with them. I am so uh so indebted into training the parents, and I did this because um I was the instructor for DeKalb and Rockdale County for Head Start, CDI Head Start. And
Mhm.
we had a program, a professional development program for both teachers and the parents. I
Mhm.
think if we implement that in all sectors of education, the parents will be more involved and will understand how critical it is for them to be involved in their child's learning. It's
Yes.
critical. It's critical. It's critical. And then they will also sit in the same role and see themselves in the same role, in the same chair as a teacher as well. And
Yeah.
so there won't be any hierarchies. Everybody will be on the same playing field.
Yes.
You
And
see,
then they can have input on curriculum. They can
and
help.
that's what my parents do. They
And
have I ask them, I invite them. Is it anything that you want to see uh little Johnny to do?
mhm.
Yeah, I need him to work on his R's. I need him to work on
Mhm.
this, that, and the third. So it invites them into the learning sphere. And if we can get that type of thing going on just in all sectors, I feel like it will break a lot
Mhm.
of barriers, you know,
Yes.
and it will succumb a lot of different just issues across the board with parent engagement and teacher engagement. You have to have the parents involved. That should be the core.
Mhm.
That has to be the core. It has to be the core. And I love that you engage your parents. You make yourself open.
Yes, and
Um,
we have to make ourselves open, even when I
yeah.
find myself where I'm like, I haven't been taking care of myself, right? And I'm like,
Hmm.
I don't want to. But then my
Yeah.
heart says, you have to meet.
Hmm.
You have to. It's not for you. It's for the child.
Yeah.
That's what you have to. And so, you know, I, parent. There is no parenting handbook.
Mm-mm.
We saw it growing up with our parents, watching our aunts, our uncles. There is
Yeah.
no parenting handbook.
Yeah.
Parents are doing the best that they can.
Mhm. Mhm.
Was a defense mechanism. It offended me at first when parents would say, "I didn't sign up to be their teacher." It offended,
Mhm.
but it was
Mhm.
a defense mechanism that I couldn't see at the time, which was this was the parent saying, "I'm overwhelmed.
Yeah.
I am
Yeah.
not having my child
Mhm.
5 days a week for extra
Mhm.
8 hours a day
Mhm.
on
Mhm.
top of having to be responsible for the
Mhm.
household
Mhm.
and my job."
Mhm.
And so it is important to have those partnerships.
Yeah.
And if we had more of them, I feel like we could change this system
Yeah.
that is hurting our children
Mhm.
that could really advance them into things. And
Yeah.
so we think about let's think about the jobs that are out there, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
There's we know that there's a teacher deficit. We know that there's a nursing deficit,
Mhm.
but we're still going to go into a deficit with electricians,
Yep.
plumbers,
Yep.
construction workers,
Mhm. Mhm.
carpenters,
Mhm.
because we haven't pushed those things of the art with children with what they could do with their hands.
Yep.
You
That's
said
right.
you had your daycare, now you have a virtual daycare. You push with them to interact and play and all these
Mhm.
things, these
Mhm.
talents, but when they get to school, it's like sit in the chair, sit up
Yeah.
tall, 6 hours straight. They don't
Yes.
get it, even though we have science, get
Yes.
those chance to explore and then
Yes.
push for college. You
Yes.
forgot that there are these other avenues that provide great pay,
Mhm.
great benefits,
Mhm. Mhm.
allow them to either work for somebody or
Mhm.
to be an entrepreneur based
Yep.
on their talent.
And no debt.
No, say that one.
No debt.
Hello, hello. And so when we think about that, right, that was a system too with colleges. Get these kids into
Hello.
colleges, the college campuses. You got 5 booths out here, get credit cards.
Mhm.
And it was like, these are those traps that put us into a
Yep.
cycle. And so then when you do have children, whether planned
Mhm.
or unplanned,
Mhm.
right,
Mhm. Yep.
you have these things that you had to work through. And it was like, wow,
Yeah.
what
Yep.
if, what if I became an electrician
Mhm.
out of
Mhm.
high school and I'm 19 years old making $50,000 as an intern, and when I get certified I'm making anywhere from 80 to 100,000. And I feel like, my sister, my oldest sister, who's in Trenton, she teaches financial literacy. And so one day I was like, oh my goodness, on YouTube, I was watching MSN Finance. And it's like, it started off with the shows. What do you get in New York City for making 80,000? What do you get in Houston for 70,000? But I liked it because it showed these people's breakdowns percentage wise. What were you doing to donate? What were you doing of service? What were you doing with your bills? How much money were you spending on for self, such as vacations, spa days, and how much money were you setting up for retirement, right? And these are all things that sometimes do not get talked about to prepare for. And
Yep.
we're relying on Social Security, Medicaid, if you have a pension. And those are things that, when you have this school setting of conversations, it can open up those doors to plan for people.
Yeah. Yeah. Um. You said a mouthful on that. I mean, periods. Like period. Period.
Mhm.
Um. I want to get into. We said we gonna laugh and joke and stuff, but honey, this been a serious. This right here
In a
been
serious
heavy,
conversation.
girl.
Okay, you wanna laugh? Wanna laugh? Okay, so today,
Okay.
um, today I have closet collectors that put their coats and backpacks away. And I have 5 tables. And I was like, yeah, you take care of tables 1 and 2, you take care of tables 4 and 5.
Mhm.
And so the people who were doing it, they were all at table 3. And I just forgot to tell them table 3. And so one kid was like, I didn't get my coat for research and stuff. And I was like, oh, student,
Yeah.
JJ,
Uh-huh.
can you do me a favor, baby? Can you get him his coat? She said, you want me to get him his coat? I got their coats, their coats. What about my coat? I said, are you yelling at me right now? She said, no, I'm not yelling. And they were like, you're yelling. I said, I am so sorry. I did not say table 3. You're right. You forgot about all of us. You got us working out here. I said, I'm so sorry. Little Demina, come on and help her get her coat and
That is
get
too
their
funny.
coat. You go work together on that one. They hug each other, worked on to get their coats. I was like, this little girl done yelled at me up in my classroom.
Okay, let's put you straight. Let's set you straight.
I said, it's okay, it's okay. She much. I said, you gonna yell at me again? I didn't yell at you. I said, yes, you did.
I still got attitude.
I
You
said, I
know
have
I got that.
you. You still got an attitude? She said, I don't have no attitude. The boy said to her, it sounds like you got an attitude. I said, "No, I'm just trying to tell you. Let's be peaceful right here. Let's be peaceful while we read this story. Find
Right.
out find out what they did to Margot pushing her in the closet, okay?
It's too funny.
Look,
Girl, these kids a trip later.
they are a trip. They will keep you on your toes.
They will.
Something went crazy, went off, and they were like, "We love you." I said, I know you love me because I love you too, but we're gonna work through this here. Like,
I know it ain't a dull moment in that class with you and them
no,
kids, girl. I can imagine. I can only imagine.
sometimes I'll be like, I'll put myself in timeout. Somebody come up here and explain this over here. Because I thought I explained it clearly. Maybe you explained it differently. I got this one little boy. He a little short, pudgy thing, so cute.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Oh.
He'll be like this. And I know he's smart. He'll be like,
Uh-huh.
I said, hey, little AA. Because his name starts with A. Hey, little
Uh-huh.
AA. You want to explain this? I think I can. No, I need you to know you can. You know,
Okay.
time out. You go ahead since you think you can. So then he's talking, give the back. I said, who taught you that? He said, you did. You know you did. I said, I know I did.
Yeah, you so crazy.
I
I
got
know
another.
that's real.
I got another student. Her name.
Uh-huh.
We're gonna call her Elizabeth. She starts with an E.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so she has my phone number,
Yeah.
and this was in December.
Mm-hmm.
She said, I'm gonna call you later. I said, no, you're not. She said, but Miss Nelson, you always answer my phone calls. I said, I'm not answering your phone call today. She said, what? I said, no, I'm not answering your phone call today. I got an appointment.
Uh-huh.
Said, what type of appointment you got? I said, it's none of your business what type of appointment. But you will not be able to reach me from 5 to 7. So another adult came in, and they were like, you believe Miss Nelson? She said, I can't call her. And then she broke it down. Yeah, I call Miss Nelson every day. We speak all the time. And I was like, okay. I said, ma'am, I finally got me a 2-hour massage. She's not calling me from 5 to 7. I'm gonna go right there to voicemail while I have my massage. I need to take care of myself so I can take care of her tomorrow. Okay? You can come to school early. We can talk then.
I
But
know
you
that's
can
real.
reach me from 5 to 7. Because then I got the Apple Watch. You will
Yeah.
not have me vibrating while I'm trying to get this shoulder worked out.
Okay.
You will
I know that's real. I know that's real. You
not.
finna hear my bell. So I ain't finna answer the phone. I got to get me straight. I know that's real.
Yes,
I
I need to
feel
take
you.
care of myself right now. You will not.
Yes. You deserve it too, girl. You deserve
Yes.
it. And that goes, I was just gonna ease right into that portion about what are some of your, self-care practices? 'Cause you carry a lot. So what are some of your self-care practices?
For number one, massages. When I tell
Mhm.
you the month of November and December, every Monday I had a massage scheduled. Okay.
Oh, that's real.
It's the end of the second marking period.
Yeah.
It's stressful. That's when you're really starting to see,
Right.
the difference between the facade of what the parent is showing you versus what they're telling you
Mm-hmm.
and why these
Mm-hmm.
outcomes are coming. So it's like a lot weighted on you. Data is due, all of
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
And so a massage is a really good way of, releasing tension.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the number one way is exercise. When the pandemic started, I started cooking more for myself, and cooking is self care because I know what's going into each ingredient.
Yeah.
I can make it taste good. And
Mm-hmm.
so I didn't realize it was a self care. And I love to cook, but due to time and things, I lost it. So it's always easy to go run here, go run there. I know what specials at this place on which day of the week to get this nice and economic. It was whatever, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't fruitful for me. I was 306 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
So then I dropped about 55 pounds because I just started walking. It was like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, you got to get off this computer, no more blue
Yeah.
screen, go for a walk, go for a walk. And so it really helped. And like, it was just coming right off. And it helped you feel good. You're eating right,
Mm-hmm.
you're
Yes.
working out.
Yes.
And
Yes.
no one, you don't have to be a size 2, you don't have to be a size 6, but you have to feel good,
Mhm.
in your hair, in your clothes.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
if you are starting not to feel good in that way, you have to change things. Whether you're gonna get some new outfits where you feel
That's
good, or
right.
you're gonna
That's
start
right.
eating right
Yes. Yeah.
to look good in what you already have.
That's right.
So eating right, exercising,
Mhm.
massages, and then little things like a pedicure and a manicure.
Mhm.
At one point I stopped getting my feet and hands done because it wasn't I was breaking it all the time.
Mhm.
But then when we were virtual and in the beginning, I just got my nails done these bright colors,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm. Mhm.
I was, do you see what I'm pointing to with this dot? I got the dot camera over here.
Yeah.
Do you see this bright? teal nail, I'm pointing to the dividend. This bright pink nail is pointing to the dividend. This other nail right here, this gold one, is pointing to the quotient. Can you please tell me what you had is the quotient? And so, the kids were like, your nails are long. You need to get them done. Everything shut down. Like, where am I getting my
Yeah.
nails? So,
Right.
pedicure and manicure, that's another way of self-care. And, being a natural Lista with the crown,
Mhm.
I had to start looking at doing my hair as self-care.
I'm so proud
Because
of
a
you, and
natural
it's so beautiful.
Thank you, thank you. I
I'm
had to
so
take
proud
a
of
few
you.
inches off because I hadn't cut it. And so,
Mhm.
here's another thing about being a naturalista, right?
Mhm.
They When this whole wave came of go natural, accept yourself and everything, no one told you how much work it was.
I know that we talked about that, and but I told you though,
Right.
and then you already have
You were the
thick
only
hair.
honest one. Everybody else
I
lied.
I told you, and then you already have thick hair anyway,
Mhm.
so I already knew that was gonna be an issue. But look how far you've come. It looks good
Yes.
on
Yes. And so that is self-care because then you
you.
think about the negative self-talk you're giving because your hair is work,
Yeah.
but then that's what you're feeding yourself, right?
That's right.
And so then am I taking care of myself of looking at my hair as a burden? And
Mhm.
so I had to start looking at that as my self-care also.
Mhm.
Um, and then another thing with self-care was initially with COVID, we were separated from people. And
Mhm.
so it was like, um, I am a hypochondriac. I get a little tickle in my throat, you know, I got pneumonia. Okay. I just got pneumonia.
Oh,
Mom, can you? Yeah, I got pneumonia.
no, man.
Okay. My stomach hurt. I got colon cancer. Okay. Like I took it to the end. You see what I'm
I'm sick of listen. I'm sick of you and Sheridan. Now Sheridan is a hypochondriac too. Y'all need to get yourself together. I'm
Okay, so
seeing
let me
that.
tell you, before Thanksgiving, I had an upper respiratory infection. But
Oh God.
COVID is strong. So all of my symptoms said COVID. Okay. I had took a COVID test
Oh,
every day of the week for 2 weeks because Thanksgiving was coming. And it was like, my dad said, I came in the house, well, you need to wear a mask in here.
mm.
Like, here's 5 tests. They all said negative, buddy. Okay. And at the start of COVID, it was like shut down. No one's coming by nobody. Nobody's around people. And then it was like, wait, I need to be around. I'm an extrovert. We need to get a card
You
game
so little.
here. We need somebody to come around here. Just be brother. Like, what you want to do. So then it was going around my mom, my dad, my brother, and my sisters, my niece and nephew.
Yeah.
And that really brought like that unity there's nothing like a hug. A hug is self-care from somebody that passing
Yeah.
that energy to another person.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then connecting with friends of like, what's going on? Talk to me,
Yeah.
share one another's burdens, those were all self-care of those engagements because we were in such lockdown.
Mhm.
Now, another thing of self-care was because I'm up here up north, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So in the winter time, we get these snowstorms, right?
Mhm.
So I
Mhm.
have one neighbor across who has two children. And so when it snowstorms, they send them out, go shovel. Well, these kids, they 5 and 6, they don't know how to shovel.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the dad has the big duty, the number 3
Mhm.
snow blower.
Mhm. Mhm.
The neighbor over here to the left, he got a big dog snow blower. But me and my sister, we like straight old school. Let's get this shovel thing done, and we done in like 45 minutes. Like it don't matter if it's 12 inches, we got this. We got our system going.
Yeah.
Okay, we even shovel outside our driveway, so when the truck comes by, it doesn't make a huge mountain. Like we got that science down.
Right.
Y'all scientists out there, you got to clean that area so when the truck comes by and we go out to the street a little bit.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
That's what I don't have frozen ice at the bottom of my driveway. Okay, because ain't no sitting around it. So after we're done, I post myself up in the living room.
Uh,
Wait, because we don't have curtains. They're beautiful. It's made of wood. I hope you can see it where they slide to close. Okay,
mm,
so I do it where it's this much where I can see the neighbor above.
yeah.
It just tickles my soul because the neighbor He comes out because the wife, she cleans off the cars,
Mhm. Mhm.
directing the kids, like clear the path or whatever. He comes out with a snowblower. He a little chunky guy, so he walks
Uh-huh.
like this, okay? And he starts snow blowing. And you know, the snow blower, it has the head on it where you got to direct which way the snow is going to come out.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And every time she cleans off those cars, and you know what he does? Piles that snow right on the car. Like, she cussing. She cussing. And the kid, and he's like, what? And the kid's like, you just put all the snow back on the car. So I'm sitting here cracking up laughing. I'm like, this man crazy. Then the guy next to us, he got the number 3
Oh,
blower because he was like, I need the big dog too. And with the number 3s, they are self-propelling where they could just move, right?
yeah, yeah.
Effort into it. But the man did not read the instructional manual. So he's blowing the snow and he's blowing it onto the man's property across the way. So
Oh,
his driveway
Lord.
there, so that he's mad that he's getting on it. And then he blew it onto my property because I don't get on the man's nerves because I'm on my business. So he cleaned up my sidewalk that he messed up, but he didn't go over there to clean. So, you know, I was like, okay, I'm just going to watch so much Netflix. I was like, I'm soon just gonna go sit down on the stool.
Ah,
We're gonna watch these people because this is hilarious. So you
that
got
is too funny.
yelling and arguing, yeah. That was
Wow.
like, laughter was the self help too.
Yeah, yeah,
We need
yeah,
laughter
yeah.
and joy, and
Yes.
that I guess my number one should also be having a church community and a strong Bible study group where
Okay.
we still met virtually
Mhm, mhm, mhm,
through the ups and downs of Zoom.
mhm.
We still met virtually, we still checked in with one another.
Wow.
At one point, we were like, we were done virtual. We meet in the park,
Mhm,
be 6 feet apart.
mhm,
We would pray, consult. We would have conversations.
mhm,
My church is um, diverse. And so, you know, when we had instances in society that were occurring, um, that were strong topics of conversation. It's so interesting, you know, when we are such strong believers,
mhm,
but when something big happens in our communities, at times
mhm.
our thought processes stray so far away from the Bible, which tells you how quickly sinful nature can come in, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So, you know, what you've been taught becomes ingrained, and it doesn't matter that you are a non-person of color who are now in
Mhm,
the Bible study with people of color.
mhm,
Those inner true thoughts come out where it's like, okay, Lord, you put me in this Bible study. You know, how do I not take her to the street? And Lord God, how do I allow your Holy Spirit to guide me?
You're so crazy.
So
Right.
thank God my sister's in my Bible study. Cause you know how when you are connected, like when you have whether it's your sister or a good friend,
Mhm.
and you're around people that you're cordial with, right?
Yeah.
But you don't have that tight bond with, okay?
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
And something happens and you guys just lock eyes for a hot
Mhm,
second. And then sometimes as it's still coming on, y'all lock eyes for like maybe 120 seconds,
mhm,
180 seconds,
mhm.
and you're like, you know it's real.
Right.
And it's like we're gonna have a conversation this on the car or on the ride home, something we're gonna have a conversation about it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so, you know, a comment was made of
Mhm.
the comment was, I'm thankful that slavery happened because if slavery didn't happen, you wouldn't have been brought to America and I wouldn't have met you. So, you know, we had that eye connection with my sister. And it was, you know, having this conversation, right? And it really told you who God is in
Yeah.
situations of how do you talk to somebody in love?
Mhm,
How do you
mhm.
correct somebody in love? Right.
Yeah.
And when you have those
Mhm,
conversations, God already set it up that people have choices, right? You can submit to the Holy Spirit,
yeah.
right? And you can apologize, you can make amends, you can learn from the situation,
Mhm,
or we could submit to the sinful nature,
mhm,
right?
mhm, mhm.
And so with
I know
it,
you had to swallow that frog. I
so,
I can't even imagine.
you know, we when it initially happened, we tried to have the conversation.
Mhm,
However, what ended up happening was the leader of the Bible study silenced us.
mhm,
And so through the silencing, and we were virtually when this happened. Okay,
Mhm.
everybody's in their own home. We're on a computer talking.
Mhm.
The person silenced us. So when you silence people of color in an injustice, you know, you could still feel that spirit that's occurring of the
Mhm.
injustice
Mhm.
when you weren't there. So this group is about 10, 12 women deep. So
Mhm.
even though we're in the virtual world, other people could feel
Mhm. Is
that.
this a mixed group?
Yeah, no, it's an all women's group.
I'm saying demographic, like
Demographic,
race.
it's predominantly non-people of color, and me, my sister, and maybe two other people were people of color, Hispanic and Asian, I want to say. And so what was interesting though, this is how God shows you he's always going to be in the midst. The person who wasn't there for the injustice prayed over the situation as if she was there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so emails were passed through on, and it said we had to have a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And through the conversation, that was the conversation was led in love, right? We weren't there like spitting Bible verses on,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
we it was there to have, I'm here to listen to you, I'm here to
Mm-hmm.
learn what went wrong. And this is what the leader of the Bible study, okay?
Mm-hmm.
That she had to submit and humble herself to the Lord to be able to have that conversation of
Mm-hmm.
how it was an injustice, right?
Yeah, yeah.
To then she also tells you of, it also told you about what type of woman of God she was, because then it's like now we got to pull the group together and have a serious conversation. And so the conversation was in love of like what the comment was, how it was wrong, how it was hurtful. Scriptures were brought in of what God says about who his people are, how they should treat one another when things occur, how do we make amends and all that. And then we had conversations on them like Black Lives Matter, to support Black Lives Matter, all these things.
Mm-hmm.
And so it really did open up, you know, it opened up the community to where you could be more you could shed a guard, because that's the whole point with God, right? God doesn't want us to have walls up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's how we learn and that's how we grow.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so he put me and my sister in this church for a reason to say
Mm-hmm.
like this is
Mm-hmm.
2022.
Mm-hmm.
The pastors were saying, you
Mm-hmm.
need to interact with people who are not like you. This
Mm-hmm.
world is made up, and when we get up there to heaven, there's
Mm-hmm.
going to be white, black, Asian, Hispanic,
Right,
all the whole
right,
rainbow, and
right.
there's not going to be like you can't come over here.
Mm-hmm. Exactly,
We have
exactly.
to know how to treat one another in love. But which goes back to this critical race theory,
Mm-hmm.
there's truths that don't wish to be addressed and
Mm-hmm.
don't
Mm-hmm.
address them. And this is not just in race. This is in family issues
Yeah.
that are
Mm-hmm.
cyclical.
Oh yeah.
You don't wish to be honest about
Mm-hmm.
these things that are occurring.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We cannot heal from them and
Right.
progress on, but not just progress on, but to where this never comes back into this community.
Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah, and then it allows everybody to operate at their higher self,
Mhm.
and it allows people to have a voice and bring understanding to the table. And respect. I think Germany, as bad as all that went on with Hitler and everything like that,
Mhm.
they they did their best to make amends,
Mhm.
with the Jewish people, and they stood in their truth. Yes, we did this to you. Yes, we did this. We were wrong. They have streets, named after famous or prominent Jewish people, but
Mhm.
they stood in their truth. They stood in their wrong. They
Yes.
voiced and created a healing, tried to create a healing space
Yes.
on
Yes.
their behalf. Whether they accepted it or not, that's really on them. But they created a healing space to say, look, we did this. We was wrong.
Right. And that's what's so profound, right? In
Yeah.
relationships of you saying, I can see what you're saying. I
hmm
hear you that I
hmm
hurt you.
Yep. Yep.
And
Yep.
I
Yep.
will try to never hurt you in that
hmm
way again.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Wow. Yeah, that's deep, and it's those microaggressions.
Mhm.
Because that's really what was going on, with the lady. She may not even. I'm not. I'm just saying I don't know,
Mhm.
because I wasn't there. I didn't get the vibe.
Mhm.
It could have been intentional and it could have been unintentional, but it's a microaggression, and those
Mhm.
are the things that are most detrimental to people of color. The microaggressions, because they're so readily available,
Mhm.
um, to criticize, to critique, to um, make people feel less than, and they are daily.
Yeah.
These different critiques are daily, and that is what hammers into people's social and emotional
Mhm.
well-being. You know, having those microaggressions. And the lady may or may not was conscientious of what she was saying. She may have just said, you know, basically, well, if it wasn't the slave trade, I would never have met you.
Right.
You know, just like, you know what I'm saying. But not understanding the enormous emotional, social emotional, and the trauma that's behind all of that
Mhm.
to you as a woman of color. She just was not. She wasn't cognitive of it. You know,
Right.
she was her. Oh, I feel like what she was trying to say is, if the slave trade wasn't here, I would never met you guys.
Mhm.
Like the point of it is, if nothing of this would have happened, you wouldn't even been in my life is
Right.
what she was saying. But she didn't understand the undergirth of what she was saying and how emotionally detrimental that is for you as a woman of color. Even though she and like I said, she may have just was just saying you if that wouldn't happen, this wouldn't have occurred.
Right. And
You
I
know,
think that
and I mean, and really that is also true. I mean, it's truth in that,
there
but
is truth
it's
in that.
yes, but you also have to think about the sensitivity underneath that, and
Yes.
that's what microaggression does. And some people may be aware of it, or may not be aware, but that's what it does, and uh, we have to be cognitive of that. Just
Yes.
like with me, I'm in this leadership course,
Mhm.
and there were issues that I experienced that from others that they were a bit offended about you know their constructs in society and
Mhm.
who they are. And so that they had to we had to have a discussion about that. But everybody wants to be made to feel as though they're valued.
Yes. Yes.
You
You're
have to
right.
be made, you have to have a value system in people, and that's relationships. If you're in a eros relationship, you want to feel valued.
Yes.
You want to feel that. Yeah, if you in a relationship, just a friendship, you want to feel that value. You
Mhm.
know, and you want someone to be present and understand you on an emotional level, you
Mhm.
know, that this is what is important to me. And can you value that? You know, like I had a healing session with your boy Sharon,
Mhm.
you know, um, and I had to, I sat in my truth. I sat in that,
Mhm.
that I don't listen to him because I think, me, I be thinking I'm right all the time.
Mhm.
And so, but I had to hear him.
Mhm.
And I sat there and I listened. I was present and I
Mhm.
apologized for making him feel less than.
Yes.
I had to create that healing space for him. That was important. So we created a healing space for each other. And, you have to do that. It's
But I think
important.
that goes back to training, right? Could you imagine if every school, every church, every community center held restorative circles,
Ooh,
restorative
yeah,
trainings,
yeah.
so that families and
Hmm.
community
Hmm.
could heal or have a person to go to
Yeah.
set a restorative situation where it's like, this is how we speak, this is how we engage, this is when you can speak, and how we bring it together. You create the number of sessions to have that healing. I feel like that would heal so many hearts that don't get an opportunity to be healed. Now,
Hmm.
the other part of it is like people have to be open to it. But when
Yeah.
you have this training,
Hmm.
you can do these circles within your first circle.
Hmm.
If someone's not open to it, the way the circle goes, that person has their healing and recognizing they aren't open, but I said my piece.
Right,
When
right.
two people are open to that healing and that circle takes
Yeah.
place, they're able to create a plan on how to move forward.
Hmm.
So I think it would just be as that self-care. I
Hmm.
think that would be so valuable in communities to have those restorative circles in training where
Right.
especially if every family had one person trained on how to conduct it,
Hmm.
how
Hmm.
how
Hmm.
we're gonna work together, whether you're
Yeah.
first cousins, second cousins, third cousins, great
Mhm,
aunties,
mhm, mhm.
and how you can come together with families. I think
Yeah.
that would be great.
And you know what? You get to create that. LaToya Nelson. You get
I
to
love
see
how
what
you
they
speak
say.
life into people. You recognize things in people they don't see in themselves. I
You
love
know.
that with you, and you tell it like you tell the truth. You see it, you tell it, and you know it. And I'm being dead serious. And whether it is something that's hurtful, you tell what it is, and it's the truth. And they can't be hurt by it because the truth. It's flat out.
Yeah. And I see you doing that. I totally see you doing that. Because you can take the heat. You got
Mhm,
tough skin.
mhm,
You know how people operate. You know people are going to be resistant. You know
mhm.
resistance is there, and you can handle it. You
Right.
can handle it. You are that person to bring someone up to their highest self. And how do I know that? Because you've healed me in so many ways.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I love our friendship.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And we don't have to talk to each other every day. We do
Look,
not talk to each other every day.
I think the ones that you have to talk to every day, there's a hole there that you're not addressing.
Mhm, mhm,
I'm not talking about your significant other.
mhm. Yeah, 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 yeah. Of course.
I'm talking about those sometimes with some friendship, if you have to talk, there might be a hole that you but when you
Mhm.
go a time period, you can hop right back in. Like that's the best feeling in the world. Catch up, give me the rundown, laugh,
That's
keep it. We're gonna keep it going.
it. And I'll see you in 2 more months, 3 more
Hello.
months, a year, whatever. Yeah, I'm
Like,
the same OG. You know I'm the same OG.
hello.
You can come to me and where it gonna go? Where?
Let me tell them a story, okay?
Mhm.
So this just happened this year, okay, y'all?
Oh,
Okay. So I was going through my phone and I was looking for it in her last name. I just went straight to it, didn't look at the first name and text message. Oh, thank you so much for the da da da. Here she go. Who this? Oh, hey! I texted the wrong person. How you doing? And we just had a quick conversation. I was like, oh, I'm gonna send this because this person gave me a gift. But you know, this is another great gift right here because I can do
okay.
it real quickly.
Exactly. Exactly.
And you know,
Exactly.
and that's the thing. It was like, she doesn't know that that brought me joy of like having that response back of like,
Mhm, mhm.
we lose phones, we might not have things, but once it was who this is, oh, okay, hey Tanya, how you
Yep.
doing? And
Yep.
go right
Exactly.
back to it,
Well,
okay.
I listen.
So
I still had that raggedy phone. I had the honey. I still got this raggedy phone. This phone about 6, 7 years. Girl, I had this when we supposed to hook up in 2018. Girl, let me
those
tell
are
you.
good ones though. Those are
Yeah, I just the reason why I didn't recognize because I had the factory reset my phone, baby, because I couldn't put nothing on here, no apps, no nothing. I had erased the whole thing. So that's why I ain't know. I'm
okay.
gonna get me a new phone, y'all. I know some of y'all talking about.
Look,
I wish she get rid of that phone. I already know the conversation because everybody want me to get rid of, and they already calling me on booth. Yes, I am a booth. I'm not gonna pay no $200 for no phone to say, hey y'all. Oh no, I'm not. So I'm on with Boo. Hi Boo. Okay.
mhm.
And they already done sent me signals talking about they cut my service off. So they going to 5G. Yes, I'm still on 3G. And um yes I am. Okay. All right. If listen, I'm open to blessings. Anybody want to buy me a new phone? Hey. Cause I don't be paying no money for like that on no phone. My mom bought this for me for my birthday six
Look,
years ago. Baby, I am God is in the blessing business. Anybody want to?
look,
I give my address, baby.
mhm.
That'll be my birthday gift. I'm open.
And wait, it is coming up, right?
It's already past. It was the first.
Oh, happy belated birthday. Happy
You don't be
birthday.
on Facebook, so
Look,
you
I
don't.
try to scroll up and to catch you, and it's just be so much. Then you're zoned in. And you're like, how long I've been scrolling? Like one day I was like, whoa, this is my whole day going scrolling, catching up with these people. Let me go get with this real life and get these grocery shopping done so I can meal my whole life together. 9 o'clock at night trying to cook 2 meals. Wow.
He's so crazy, but yeah, I did, and I was so happy to hear from you. I was. But that's real friendship. I mean,
Hmm.
it really, really is. I can call you
Hello.
anytime,
And,
and you right
and
there in tears, laugh, whatever. You
hello.
are
Yes.
there,
Yeah.
and and you keep it 100 with me. You keep it 100. I might not want to hear it, but it's because you want me at my highest self, and I
Yeah.
appreciate that. I love you, and I
Yes. And
appreciate
you know
you.
what? You are empowering because even before graduation, you had the entrepreneur mindset set. And I
Hmm.
feel like that was something that God put in you
Hmm.
before graduating to carry you and sustain you. I don't know if you recognize as that blessing, right? So as of our sophomore, or junior year, you had that entrepreneur mindset in you. And I felt like that has helped you throughout these, girl, it's about to be 2 decades since we graduated, girl.
Yeah, don't tell me no.
That
Well,
has,
you listen. That 2 decade that I came in, cause I had two sessions.
hmm
I stopped at '05, and then I went back and got mine in what 2014. So I done been, that 2 decades, girl.
right. And so, but God put that entrepreneurial spirit in you, and it sustains you for these 20 years.
Yeah,
And it's going to keep you along with your passion for children. Because I remember
I knew that.
them
I
two little
knew it.
babies that you had. I'm like, oh, where they at? Come on, we're going to take them for a walk.
I wish I knew where Makaja and Kanai was, girl. I
Mhm.
wish he probably Kanai probably about 22 now, 22,
Right.
23.
Grown man.
Makaja probably 18 now. I wish I could find them. I
Yes.
wish I could because they were I had clothes at my
Yes.
house for them.
Yes.
They and the mom was so sweet. Kanice, that was her name. Kanice, she
hmm
was so sweet. I had clothes at their house. They didn't never have to want for nothing.
Yes.
It was I've been for a long time. I mean, this is just what I do. I've been keeping children since I was 13 years old.
hmm Yes. And so I'm so thankful that you created this platform where we can empower others
Yeah,
to, step out in faith on what
yeah,
God has them to do, and
absolutely.
even to think through, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
that's the first step. How do you think through and process
Mhm,
where you're at and where you want to be versus where God wants you to be? And
yeah.
does your plan line up to God to go into that direction?
Mm, wow. Wow, 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 wow. What a revelation. I didn't even think about that, how
Mhm,
you said that. And you remember everything. I remember, being in I started when summer school. I was in Meg's Hall for summer
mhm,
school, and I was just printing off stuff about how to open up a daycare, how to open up a daycare. I
mhm.
started then. And then my internship, um I was at that center right on Jefferson Street.
Yes.
Remember that? When Miss
Yes, where
and
she let you shadow her. Yes.
yes,
Mhm.
yes.
I went there
And
with you a couple
right,
times.
yeah, yeah. And I still keep it. Miss Terrace on my Facebook right now. She was. I have to. I give her. I honor her today because she gave me a chance to
Yes.
teach. I honor her today, and
Yes.
she still looks the same. I'm just like, is she a vampire? I mean, she ain't aged at all.
Wha
Um,
Okay. Go ahead,
Yes, honey.
Mary.
Yes, Miss Terrace, honey. She ain't aged out. But I honor her because she gave me my first, chance at a real center.
Mhm,
Just coming, what I'm saying, a legit out of college, and just coming in, just, trying to find some work. I was off campus then, so just trying to find some work, trying
mhm.
to do my internship, and and she allowed me to really stir up my gifts, and I honor her today. I honor her now,
Yes.
and
Thank
she
you.
ain't even in early childhood no more.
What is
But
she moving? What she do
I
now?
don't know. I think she do like admin work, but she's not even in early childhood. So
Oh,
see how God brings people in your life just to
yes.
birth stuff out of you.
Yes.
So it was just divine. It was divine.
Yes.
It just pushed me further along. And then of course my mom was already early childhood. She had in-home childcare. We grew up in that, and it just pushed me along. So I never really thought about it. I cannot believe you still you remember that. Wow.
Yes, because okay, look, there's another funny story, y'all. You ready to laugh? So one time, um, we had on Wednesdays we had to get dressed up, right?
Yep. 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 Yep.
My mom gave me this yellow sweater that I
Mhm.
had not worn because I was still up north mentality, like, you're not wearing yellow in February. But it was like, I'm
Mhm.
in Florida, I can wear yellow.
Mhm.
But I was like,
Mhm.
okay. So it was like April, May, it starts to get hot around then in
Yeah.
Daytona.
Mhm.
And so I was walking with you to
Mhm.
meet her and to have the interview. And I had on
Oh
this yellow
yeah.
sweater, had the scoop
Mhm.
on, and
Mhm.
it was like show the who, and I had the black
Yeah.
pants on,
Yep.
and I had
Yep. I remember.
heels, and we were walking and
Yep.
talking, and you were nervous, right? And we were walking the street, and it was dirt road, and I
Mhm.
tripped on the rock to where the strap around my ankle stayed on, but my toes fell out. Remember that?
You remember that? I do remember that.
Which like broke all the stress because we was cracking up the rest of the way
Oh my God.
in my Payless
Yes.
shoes. In my Payless shoes, okay?
Yes. Yes. Oh my God. The girl, you know, went all the way back.
Yes.
Girl, we were determined to get that to and do what we had to do.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. I
Yes,
remember that.
yes, yes. Mm-hmm.
Lord.
I was like, man, these Payless shoes, hunty. I
Yes.
look cute. Let me.
Okay. Oh my God. Hey, I mean, yeah. And then when we moved from Jefferson Street, we went, where was that? Over there by the Dickerson Center.
Mhm.
Remember? And you
I
helped me.
I don't think I went to the Dickerson Center because I was in my internship. So I only saw you within my internship because I was Monday through Friday interning. I only
Yeah,
saw you. We was weekend friends at that point because
I
it was
know. But you went over there one day with me and helped me set up my classroom, if
I
you can remember.
yes, yes.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yep. Yep. Oh my God. That girl, that was like 15, 16 years ago. Wow. That is crazy. That's
Yes. And so,
crazy.
just those things. And, partly with that situation, right, of,
Mhm.
going to support somebody with an interview.
Yeah.
Now, like for me, that's a tool that I use now, right? Of like somebody stressed, laugh through it,
Yes.
to
Yes.
laugh through it, and they
Yes.
will be able to go into that stressful situation a little bit lighter.
Yeah. That's right. You're right. You're right. You are so right. Wow.
Yes.
Man, I'm telling y'all, me and Tanya go back, y'all. I'm telling you, we go back. This my friend for real, y'all. This is my sister. This is my friend for real. And I just love you. You know I love you like a fat cake little a fat girl love cake, baby. I
And
love you.
she can make some cake and some cornbread, okay? Okay, because when she got her place off campus, the one thing Jocelyn will do, she will feed you.
Won't
Okay.
I? Did I not feed you?
Yes. And then it was, okay, now I fed you. Now we're gonna be in this kitchen together to
There
feed
you go.
people.
That's
Okay?
right. Go wash your dishes up. That's it,
I'm
y'all.
not watching.
You
You don't
know
want to cook? Come wash these dishes. And you know who was the great dishwasher? Arnett. She said, I'm gonna come to eat. I'm gonna clean the kitchen for you. Y'all do the cleaning. Y'all do the cooking.
girl.
Do the
I
cleaning.
net
She ain't
and
complained not one bit. She scrubbed
everything,
everything.
everything. We go to church and come to the house and eat. Yes,
Hmm.
sir. Yes,
Yes.
indeed. I
Yes.
get. Oh my God, I miss those days. And Darnell coming, Lord, have
Yes.
mercy.
I need to reach out to him because he's not too far. And sometimes I'm in his neck of the woods.
No.
And just because I'm in there checking up on my godson in and
Mhm,
out,
mhm,
I just, because let me tell you, my godson and his mom moved
mhm,
to a new apartment. So he got a new bed, all this stuff. And so I was like, well, where the bed at? Okay, let's go. This is 10 o'clock at night going to Walmart. Okay. However, the Walmart was open 24 hours. And so I'm a Target girl. I just
Me
need y'all
too.
to know.
I don't do Walmart. Sorry, I ain't trying to be bougie, but I don't do Wally World. Okay, okay.
Look, that's how I felt. And
Yeah.
but the mama chose Walmart, so I said, okay, we're gonna go where you want to go.
Mhm,
I'm
mhm.
just the card to pay for it. Okay.
Right. Right.
We walked around the store. We had our two baskets filled with stuff.
Mhm.
We go to check out. Mind you, we got there at 10. Okay. It's now 11:30 at night. I said, where the line go? Don't you know the line was the whole length of the store with two
See,
cashiers?
I can't.
We did not get rung up until about 2 a.m. I'm sitting here talking to, I said, see, homegirl, you were so headstrong. And I said, let's just go to Target. Now, this is before Target had that order on the app. I got the app.
Mhm.
I got the
Mhm.
app like that.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
ain't playing
Yeah.
no games. I could order it on the app. I know I don't need it till Friday. I ordered it on Wednesday. And then they say I got to pick it up by Thursday. I
Right.
extend my time. Thank you very much. That's what I'm going to do. Extend it. Oh, there's no more left. Ship
Right.
it. Ship
Okay.
it free on you.
Okay. Okay.
So I'm sitting here talking
Hello.
shit like, girl, this is why next time we go to Target. They don't treat people like this. They honor my time. I feel bad for this cashier. She got all this pressure with the people around. It's
Yeah,
not people. It's the structure of
it
Walmart.
sure is.
That almighty God. And I'm
I
sitting here
can't.
running my mouth, and you know who recognized my voice? Darnell. Darnell, you better shut up. I said, where you at? Where you skinny taking pictures all up in Walmart like I love Wally Wild. No, and I can't stand it. Hugged it up. Love you, my brother. Haven't seen you in a while. And he's like, man, this is bad. Like
Oh my God. Yeah.
2 hours in the checkout line.
Wow.
And it wasn't Christmas. It was July.
No, I
Yes.
can't. I went in there. I think for Christmas. I
Hmm.
went in there, just ran in there because we was in the neck of the woods for my baby niece.
Hmm.
And the anxiety I had in there, I had to hurry and get up out of there.
Hmm.
I can't. I just can't. I don't know how y'all do it. Y'all Wally World lovers. God bless you and keep you.
Amen.
I can't do it. I
Hmm.
cannot.
Mm-mm.
I will not subject myself to Wally World. I ain't
Mm-mm.
been do it. I ain't been do it. I don't care what I don't care. I ain't been do it. I can't. It was just too much. It's too much. It's too much. It's too much. In the long lines, the folks sitting up there looking crazy, got all their children running around in that stove.
Mm-hmm.
Baby, I got to go. I ain't
Yep.
been do it. And the long line, toes hurting, feet hurting. I ain't finna be spending no money with toes and feet hurting. Now, listen now. Uh-uh.
Mm-hmm.
Bye.
Yep. Target got it all the way together. They had the nice bright light. There's no
Yep.
confusion on the color.
None. None. None.
They got, oh, you want to go into the dressing room? I got this one open for you.
Hello.
That
Hello.
nice service right there. You
That's
go to
it.
the counter. I have a
That's
question.
it.
He's gonna answer every question. I could be a smart aleck and start creating crazy questions. You know what they do?
Yeah.
Answer it. They
Right.
got the little
Period.
things everywhere. I could check the
Period.
price, and I could check it 3 times, and it's gonna be
Thank
that
you.
price when I get up
Thank
there.
you. Thank you.
Any problems without having to call somebody to walk to it, and that sign was in the wrong place. But I got the picture of the sign, so you're gonna give me this price right.
Right. Right.
But
Right.
none of that. Mm-mm,
Yeah,
no.
I can't. I don't know how people do it. I just God
Mm-mm,
bless y'all. I can't do it. But
yeah.
you know, but I understand. I know Darnell. I know he did. I know he did because your voice is so distinguished. You can't miss it. You can't. You cannot miss that voice. You
Hello.
can't.
Hello. And when I'm going in, oh,
Oh God.
you gonna recognize
Oh
I'm going
Lord.
in.
Lord have mercy. When she goes in, she goes for the kill. Period. And you ain't gonna get no words in. Y'all might well forget that because that feeling gonna come out in her.
Mm-hmm,
Baby. You might
mm-hmm.
well forget that. You might well just hang it up. And then I'm all slow and country and stuff, baby. I'm gonna let you have it. I'm gonna let you have it, baby. Let you have it. And then when you done, I just go right on. Yeah,
Yes, yes.
okay.
You
Yeah.
know, that's how I met you. Cause in my at the time
Mm-hmm.
coming down to Cookman, I always told my sister, I was like, I'm really a country girl. Like, I'm a country girl.
Mm-hmm.
And so I always saw you outside at Joiner. You were up
Yeah.
on what, the second floor or the third floor?
I was on the third.
Okay, you on the third floor. I was on the first floor. So I only
Right.
saw you sitting outside, and you were what, like the friendliest person, always said hello. And I was like, so they just say hello like a few times. I was like, well, I'm gonna come talk to you because you're friendly out here saying hello every day. And I'm Latanya. Like, who are you? And
Right, right.
from that moment on the white little bench in the sand
Mm-hmm.
dirt right there outside of Joiner,
That's right.
that's where our friendship started.
Yep.
And it was like, you on what
Mm-hmm.
floor? I never went to the third floor. I like,
No,
I'm on the
you
first
never come to my room. You ain't
floor.
never come to my
Mm-mm,
room.
nah. But I knew where to meet you at on the bench right outside
That's right.
Joiner
That's right. That's right.
anytime.
I
I
was
forget
right there
that.
holding it down. Holding
Mm-hmm.
it down. And I
Yes.
think I don't know how Kiana met me. I don't even know. She know y'all know my memory bad. But I think she met me while I was on Jordan because I would hold the Jordan down to the porch. You ain't
Mhm.
nobody think about sitting on the porch till I started sitting on that porch. But that's where I think I met Kiana at.
Oh,
When
at
I was sitting on the porch.
oh my gosh, why can't I think of
At
it?
Curtis Hall.
At
Curtis.
Curtis,
Curtis.
that was our place right there, Curtis Hall. Okay,
The
you
porch.
probably did meet here on Curtis Hall.
Because I was sitting out there all the time.
Yes, that was our benches, and then people started just to want to
Mhm.
come up. Like, what? Don't
Yep,
do that.
yep. Always, always. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I think that's how I met Kiana. Well, she might have a different feel because my memory bad. But Shannon would tell you how he met me. He would go off and tell you how he met me.
How
And
you
it
meet
is
him?
hilarious. Huh?
How'd you meet him?
Okay, so I met him through Tanika, but Sheridan had already seen me on campus.
Mhm.
So one day, him and Ricardo were riding together, and I
Mhm.
was crossing the street. You know me, I'm slow and unconcerned.
You
And
got your
so
little snake to you. Mhm.
I crossed the street, he gonna ask Ricardo, "Who is that? Who
Mhm.
is that?" Because he kept seeing me, and Ricardo didn't know my name,
Mhm.
and so that's how he saw me. But he met me through Tanika.
Mm. Mm.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, he met me through Tanika, so that's how I met him.
Then maybe that's how you met Kiana through Tanika and Sheridan.
Kiana came up to me.
Oh, okay.
She kept seeing me, and she came up to me, and she started talking. But I think it was either on Curtis or I was walking somewhere. I could have been sitting at Jordan because I was still sitting at Jordan though.
Yeah. The
That little bit.
Yep. You and it was shaded too. Got the little palm trees right there.
Yep,
Mhm.
yep, yep, yep.
Because my
Lord.
year I was at no, there's Curtis, there's Megs, there's Joyner, and then there was what's that other one? Where they had
Curtis
the
and Jordan.
and then they
Uh,
had the bathrooms connected. What was the name of that one?
can't remember what y'all LLC.
No, right next to the calf where you exit at
Oh yeah, J Flow.
J Flow. I was at J Flow. And when I was
Hmm.
at J Flow for that 1 year, there was no outside. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
'cause they ain't got
There's
nowhere to
no
sit
place
really.
to really sit, like, and,
Hmm.
you didn't wanna sit in the lobby. It's just like, "Ooh, okay."
I
Only
stayed at J Flow one summer. Me and Arnett was in summer school, and we
Mhm.
stayed at J Flow. I ain't like J Flow.
I saw why people liked it because you had your own bathroom, you guys just
Yeah,
took care
that's
of it,
true.
but it was like
Hmm.
but I was like, it just wasn't I mean,
Hmm.
and you had great closet space, and, coming from
Yes.
when you come from far away, you coming from Georgia, you come from
Hmm.
Pennsylvania, it's like you gotta bring your whole stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
In
they did have
Florida
good
area, they
closet
could
space.
bring their stuff in stages and take it home in stages. We had to
Hmm.
bring the whole kit and caboodle.
Exactly, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, that's true. That is true. Lord have mercy, the Cookman days. Lord,
Mhm.
Lord, Lord. We had good times though. We
He
did.
did. He
We
did.
had good times. Y'all were real friends. Like,
Yeah.
y'all was real friends to me, and I'm pretty I was good friend to y'all.
Yes.
I'm
You fed us. You got yourself off campus. You fed us.
baby, I had
You
to
created community. That's what you
I
did.
that's what that's what I tried to do. I got that I always got that big mama type of mentality, make sure everybody all right. But that's what I grew up in that type of environment. So it just carried along with me, and then with kids, working with kids and stuff, so
Mhm,
that's just in me. But that's what I tried to create. I tried to create that with my people.
mhm.
But girl, it's been a pleasure tonight, girl. I love you.
I love you too.
I love you so much. And I want to thank you for just gracing us on this platform and just being authentic and sharing your experiences and just giving us some nuggets that we can carry along with us as educators and caregivers. That it was just vital and helping us to see different perspectives of what's really going on in these classrooms
Mhm.
and how people are affected by COVID, the children, the parents, the teachers, really giving us a real scope on that. So I appreciate your transparency.
Yes.
I appreciate that. I honor you on that. And so thank you. Keep going. Keep doing your
Yes.
thing. Keep doing. We're gonna have to collaborate again.
We do. This was fun. I really
Mhm.
appreciate you giving me this time to
Yeah.
share my thoughts and share my experiences and to, hopefully encourage and empower people
Yeah.
to start opening these doors of
Mhm.
communication and to embark in change.
Yes, most definitely. Well, thank you. I love you. Get you some rest. And
Yes.
y'all, thank you for joining us on tonight with Kappa Learning Group. Where we educate, share the power. And if you guys need professional development, please go to www.kapalearninggroup.com for your professional development and ECE for nannies. Also, we do trainings for school teachers as well. You can turn our clock hours into CEUs, and I would love to come out and do my famous training is why does she wear hijab? Why is her hair so kinky? And that is learning about self identity and cultural relativism. So if you guys are interested in that training, I will fly out to you. I will come to your center because it is very important to understand those concepts in your classroom. And also consultations. If you guys need any consultations, please don't hesitate to reach out. I do a number of different things. You can go to the website and see all the number of different trainings and coaching sessions that I have available. So thank you so much, Tanya. I love you. I love everybody out there in internet world, metaverse, whatever. I love y'all. Y'all be safe and remember to educate, share, and empower. Love y'all. See y'all tomorrow. Well, I won't be on tomorrow. I got training for 4 days. So I'll see you guys next week where we're going to learn about love, relationships, and family. And I think I may have a sex expert to come. So you guys might want to come in on that. Bye. Bye bye.